Yo, what up? Welcome to another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. I'm Patrick, flying solo. So, your Golden State Warriors have made the playoffs. They avoided the play-in and they smacked the hell out of the Portland Trailblazers 157-101. The Warriors, they finish the regular season 44-38. They have the same record as the Clippers, but the Clippers have the tiebreaker. So the Warriors end up in sixth place, the spot that we'd all kind of felt they would end up in. And they play Sacramento Kings. That's going to be a really, really fun series. That's the one that I had wanted. You know, whether they would have played the Suns if they got to fifth or the Kings. To me, the benefits of the Kings, I mean, there's a ton, and I've talked about them, and I'm sure you know some of them as well. It's like, one, the travel time from the Bay to Sac is way easier on the Warriors. Like, imagine if they had to go to Memphis in the first round. That would have been really, really rough. That's a lot of travel. But they can just take the bus to Sacramento, and in theory, they don't have to stay in Sacramento. They can just bus back down because there's a couple of days off, 2 to 3 days off, usually between games. I haven't seen the schedule yet, but that's a positive. Two, there are definitely going to be some Warriors fans in Golden One Center Arena or whatever it's called. Yes, the Kings, they have a rabid, hungry fan base, a lot like the old school We Believe Warriors era fans. But, I'm sure some Warriors fans will be able to sneak in there. I'm not going to say it's going to be like half Warriors, half Kings, because I'm sure a lot of Kings fans who have season tickets are going to hold on to them and watch these games in person. But there's also probably a ton of Golden State Warriors fans who will be willing to pay top dollar, pretty penny to get up in there. And then three, another reason why I like this matchup is that, the Warriors, one of their advantages is that they are a veteran team that has a ton of playoff experience. They're the defending champs, of course. And while the, Kings, they do have some vets, they are largely unplayoff tested. So instantly, just in terms of intangibles, that goes in the Warriors' favor. Whereas, like, if the Warriors, had played the Suns, I would have loved to have seen that. I think KD and the Warriors need to play in the playoffs at some point. But I think that their advantage in terms of being vets and having, playoff experience, that is obviously nullified when you play a team like the Suns that has Chris Paul, Kevin Durant, even Devin Booker. Even though they choked against the Mavericks last year, they do have some experience in that regard. So just on that, without even looking at player matchups and all that jazz, which, I'll get to that later in the week in a special playoff preview episode. But that's why I like that one a lot. I'm happy. I can't believe it's been 82 games. The Warriors, they took care of business like we had wanted them to. They finished the season 8-2 in their final 10. Yes, this was a resting bad Portland team. And yes, they didn't get the best effort from the Kings, but I'll take it. I will 100% take it because a win is a win in terms of just vibes and, like how this team looks when they're playing together on the court. Just all that stuff goes into creating like this winning atmosphere in general. I do have to say also, one thing that I've noticed about this team in recent weeks, yes, winning helps a lot, but it's seeing more of that genuine joy that the Warriors have always played with. And I talked about during the season that they didn't really have that. And when you would see moments of joy, it would be just in games where somebody went off, or the Warriors in general as a team went off from the 3-point line or something like that. You know what I mean? And a lot of times it felt false and manufactured, like they were trying to just will this happiness that they usually play with. But again, winning helps with that, but then also just enjoying being out there and playing with each other and playing for each other helps the winning. It's kind of like a cycle, you know what I mean? And I do have to say that Gary Payton II being back on the squad and being out there on the court really, really does help. And so I'm really glad he's on the team. And most importantly, I'm really glad that he is not in his sweatsuit on the bench. It was just about getting him on the court and seeing how he can affect this team as a player, but also just as a teammate. So that's really solid. And he's done great things on the court, right? Like there was that sequence in the Kings game where he blocked a shot, high-fived the fan, and then went down and got a corner three. Like those are the things that he can bring. And it's crazy. It's crazy that the seedings all came down to this final day, right? After the Warriors won, we were all watching the Suns, basically JV team, play against the Clippers in Phoenix. And if the Clippers lost that game, they would have fallen into the play-in round. And then the Lakers, they would have been the sixth seed and the Warriors would have been fifth and the Warriors would have gotten the Suns. But the Clippers, they came from behind and they won. So they end up fifth. The Lakers go to the play-in, which we all kind of wanted. And then there was a tough battle between the Timberwolves and the Pelicans in Minnesota. And it looked like the Pelicans were going to win that, but then the Timberwolves pulled that out. So the final seedings for the play-in go Lakers 7, Wolves 8, Pelicans 9, and the upstart Oklahoma City Thunder at 10. And I'm excited. You know, the the Warriors, you know, for today, they are 44-38, 6 games over 500 is where they end up. And that is the highest they've been, the most they've ever been over 500 all season long. So it took this long just to get there. But more importantly is now that the season is over, the regular season, I'd like to say maybe call it the extended Warriors 82 game preseason. They are now 0-0, 0-0, and every other team in the playoffs is also 0-0. So put all that away. Forget all that. Forget all the hand-wringing and all the stress of the regular season, all the confusion, all the weird stuff, and get ready for more, but have it be in the playoffs. And the Warriors, hey, I have always said healthy and whole. That's where we got to get them. And they get a week to get Andrew Wiggins back up to speed. Gary Payton II looks like he is getting there, you know, that he can affect the game. Draymond, he's beat up. This week off will help him a lot. Thank goodness he doesn't have to play 1 or 2 extra play-in games. Steph is healthy. Klay is healthy. Jonathan Kuminga, after that bad fall against the Kings, he looked great in this Blazers game. So, you know, things are looking up. I'm excited. This is what we've been waiting for. Give me a 7-game series where someone has to beat the Golden State Warriors, defending champs, 4 games out of 7. You know what I mean? Like, that is tough. As good as the Kings have been, the Warriors, it's up to them to rise up and show who they are. And this is that particular moment. I was confident that the Warriors would win this matchup, but I also felt that, hey, if they coughed it up, then they would 100% deserve the play-in, which is where they would have landed. But they came out and Klay needed 5 threes to reach 300 on the season. He's never hit 300 before. And I was like, yeah, he's going to go for it, all of it in the first quarter. And he did. And he hit 5 threes in the first quarter, where the Warriors scored an NBA record 55 points in the first quarter. That's insane, you know? And it was fun to see. Klay ended up 6 for 11, 7 for 14 overall from the field, 20 points plus 24 in only 22 minutes. He had 5 boards, 1 assist. So just to think about where Klay started the season, where he was hunting shots, playing out of the flow, trying to get his legs back. So many doubters. It's impressive to see how far he's come just from those injuries. You know what I mean? So that is something you love to see. I mean, this overall is a game that you kind of want to have. Yes, they were playing a Blazers team that wanted to lose, that was tanking, that wasn't playing their best players. But you want these vibes. You want to see your shots go down. You want to see your offense flow and everybody pass the ball and all that stuff and have everything clicking. Not going to be this way all the time once the playoffs start, but it's good to have this in their memory, in your back pocket. You know what I mean? It's a big confidence builder. Jonathan Kuminga, I mentioned. I mean, uh, that dude is going to be, he's just a perfect Warrior because of what he can do on both ends of the court and his overall just ability. He's getting better, right? Like there was a play where he tried to do like a little slick, like one-handed pass in the lane to Klay, but Klay was out of bounds. And Steve Kerr wanted him to just make the simple play. And Kuminga did that on the next one, you know, very, very basic. He drove in and the Blazers defense collapsed and Dante DiVincenzo was on the left wing and he hit him and DiVincenzo hit the three. Done, you know, like those are the steps that you're seeing each game in his development. And that on top of the fact that he's getting better making decisions, getting better with his handle, and his shot is looking more and more consistent. And then you throw in those two massive highlight dunks. There was the one where Steph threw him a lob. Kuminga came from the left corner, and that pass was high. It was high, but there was no doubt that Kuminga would get it. He just came down and just threw it down. I was like, dang. You know, and then there was a one to end the third quarter where he just took his man off the dribble and launched from the middle of the lane and just soared and threw it down. I was like, dang, you know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Warriors have never, ever had a dude like this in my fandom. You know what I mean? Weber, you know, just different player, but in terms of his physical gifts, sure. Spreewell, he was a guard, but crazy athletic, but not as strong. Jason Richardson, not even close. So I look at Kuminga and it's just like, dang, this dude, and I've said this before, that I had felt that after he got drafted, he would be the Warriors' best player in 4 years after the draft. That may not be true because Steph looks like he's going to be their best player for a while, but you know, in a couple seasons, Kuminga might be up there as like one of their two best players. So you love to see it, and I really think, you know, when he plays against Shaedon Sharpe, the high flyer for the Blazers, he takes that on as a challenge. And some of these dunks and some of these plays that he made were, you know, no coincidence because Shaedon Sharpe gets a lot of pub for being a massive dunker, for being a highlight reel and all that stuff. And to me, Kuminga is just as much of a high flyer, obviously, and he showed that today. And in terms of Kuminga, it's like, hey, I've said this before and I'll say it again. The Warriors, not only have they never had a player like him, he's basically, to me, the Warriors version of, you know, rookie / second year Terrell Owens on the court. So marinate on that. Moses Moody, again, got minutes ahead of Anthony Lamb. And hey, again, that is cool with me. I know he's getting minutes because Wiggins is still out, but, you know, seeing Moody 29 minutes, a lot of this was in garbage time, but he was 10 for 14, 4 for 7 from the field, 4 boards, 4 assists, 1 for 1 from the line, 25 points, plus 39. I mean, these plus minus numbers are just ridiculous for everyone pretty much across the board. But, you know, if we see Moody in the playoffs, it's good to know that he can get in there and, you know, get in where he fits in, honestly, right? We've talked about how he's a little bit slower of foot, but he's learning. Shaedon Sharpe came after him and got past him, you know, more than a couple times. But Moody, again, if they could turn him into something, if they can salvage his development from being benched pretty much all season long in favor of other dudes like Anthony Lamb, and let's face facts, because Ty Jerome is not on the playoff squad. He wasn't signed to the full roster. That's a guard that was in front of Moody, who's not blocking his way, right? So it'll be interesting. I think Moody will be solid next season if they hang on to him. Who knows how this season ends? But obviously, it's likely that Dante DiVincenzo's gone, so that opens up a guard spot for Moody to slide into, and it's up to him. He's not Dante DiVincenzo, but he could do some of the things that DiVincenzo does, and with Gary Payton II back on the roster, he can do some of the things that Dante DiVincenzo does better than Dante DiVincenzo, at least defensively. It was fun. It was fun to watch this one, I'll be honest, and seeing that garbage time lineup of Lester Quinones, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, Patrick Baldwin Jr., and even Anthony Lamb. I mean, that's I tweeted out that's the fourth quarter garbage time lineup we've been dreaming of all season long. And I say that because it's like, hey, I don't think the Warriors have had a game like this all year. Maybe there was one, maybe there were two, but yes, there were times where they threw in their young dudes with a couple minutes left. But I'm talking about just a flat out blowout where these guys get a lot of run and they have a lot of fun doing it and all that stuff. Again, it's just the Blazers, but it's a great way to end the season no matter what. It's the kind of showing you want. You didn't want a 10-point win. You wanted something where it's like you guys can just chill and relax and basically start that week-long break during the game almost, right? Like once the vets sit, that's the break. That's when they can start resting and healing and all that jazz. And the Warriors, hey, another road win, 11-30 is how they finish. I'll take it. That Kings game, hey, was their 10th? I'll take that too. It's better than finishing in single digits in the win column on the road. So good on them. Anyway, I would just like to say thank you to all of you who have listened this season. 82 games, man. It has been rough, really, really rough. And if you've been watching all these games just like I have, then, more power to you, because some of it was really, really ugly. And hopefully this game and the fact that the Warriors were able to get into the actual playoffs without the plan, the reward is coming. And that reward to me is a really entertaining, fun, anything can happen type playoff run from these Warriors. And programming note, I'll be doing a playoff preview episode with my buddy Aram in Toronto, just like we did last year. So stay tuned in for that. Won't really be covering the play-in round too much because the Warriors thankfully ain't in that. But we'll be having some stuff as soon as those things get all figured out. But again, thanks for tuning in, and let's get ready for the real season.